Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows. He's here, I promise. And joining us again is Jedi Master Henrique Jaime, and he's here too. I also promised that. And as promised, this episode continues our coverage of The Mandalorian Season 2. We'll be talking full spoilers on this episode, which may have been recorded the same night that we talked about our non-spoilers. I can neither confirm nor deny that. Just saying that if we all sound drunk in the next few minutes, there may be a reason for that. Anyway, let's dive right in. Full spoilers for The Mandalorian Season 2. And Andrew, Henrique, if you're amenable, I think we should just go chapter by chapter, because I do think that each episode kind of breaks down into a very specific story, and I think each one is going to be worth talking about because of a particular scene, character, moment, that sort of thing. And we are in full spoilers, so anything goes, really. And obviously some of our takeaways and reactions are going to be from viewings that are well over a month old at this point, but I do think it'll be interesting to get a sense of how everyone felt about each episode in this season, and anything else that pops up. So let's get into it. Chapter 9 is The Marshal, where the Mandalorian's drawn to Tatooine, searching for some Mandalorians, searching for the Jedi. He hears about a certain man wearing Mandalorian armor and goes to investigate. And this is where we meet Timothy Olyphant as Cobb Vanth. And we have a later reveal in the episode of Tamara Morrison back as what appears to be an armorless Boba Fett. So I think that this season started with a huge bang.
Oh yeah,
and I mean this thing shifted aspect ratios to emphasize how crazy shit was getting.
Like
with a fucking square off against a goddamn massive crate dragon. Like,
have you ever seen like a gradual aspect ratio shift like that? Like, I can't recall anything, and it's not. I mean, it doesn't sound crazy, but like it was just so cool the way that happened. Like, that was amazing.
I've seen it in the opposite direction, which is to say,
the
one example that I'm thinking of, I don't know why I'm thinking of it, but once upon a time, Sam Raimi made a film called Oz the Great and Powerful, and it starts with a 4:3 aspect ratio, and then when it kind of transitions into the new stuff, like kind of past where like the Wizard of Oz kind of storyline was, it kind of expands out to from a 4:3 to a full kind of 16:9 aspect ratio, so it fills the whole screen in that sort of way. But, you know, obviously we've seen in the Dark Knight films, and I think in Tenet as well, for those that have happened to have seen it to this point, that, you know, like IMAX releases will commonly do the aspect ratio shifts.
Right. And this was shot on IMAX cameras, right?
I think it was,
what I heard.
for that sequence. I could be wrong, but I think so. It was fucking cool.
No,
that's my
awesome
comment is, it was fucking cool.
Fucking crate dragon. Cool. Just like spewing bile on people, and then the Mando's got to go inside and blow it up. Like that, yeah.
Ridiculously badass.
Crazy. Boba Fett's armor, just like doing the missile. Like, oh man.
The whole thing.
Yeah. This whole episode, I mean, really just started the season with a bang. And, you know, for me, this had an added level of significance because I've talked now multiple times in the show about how I had been reading through the Aftermath trilogy, which uses its interludes in it to set up Cobb Vanth as a character. And then lo and behold, they take this fucking character from the books and chuck him into a TV show. Like, how cool is that?
It's called The Marshal, and it's Timothy Olyphant playing a marshal like he did in
Justified, Deadwood. I mean, he's typecast at this point. But he's so good at it that I am not mad at it whatsoever. I mean, you know, like it's kind of funny because like it kind of looks a little bit like a dork in the Boba Fett armor, in a weird sort of way. But like, oh, that's not Boba Fett. You know what I mean? But like,
he's still
he still has a swagger about him, and I love what he brought to that role of just being like, I'm just a little small town sheriff, no big deal. You know, I just got this cool armor that I happened to find at a junk trader. I just thought it was fun, you know, and I am a huge fan of Timothy Olyphant, and And much like the judge from The Good Place, it's for a good reason. But to see him as this character here was just so cool. And I think that just the plot of this episode, was very much just I want that armor back because you're not a fucking Mandalorian. And I'll help you out because, Mando's a pretty good dude at his core. And it made for just an epic set piece at that end with the Krayt Dragon standoff and, the visuals of Tatooine and stuff. I don't know. It was just such a huge way to kick this thing off. And this is the first episode to date of The Mandalorian directed by Johnny V himself. In fact, the only episode directed by Johnny V himself. He was so busy with The Lion King on season 1 that he finally got his chance to do his thing, and damn did he deliver, in my opinion.
No, that was so good.
So, any other thoughts on the Marshal? Shall we move on?
We shall move on.
No, it's a strong start for season 2, I gotta say.
Yeah, and of course there is a bit of a tease at the end there with someone watching The Mandalorian, none other than Boba Fett, but we'll revisit him later, won't we? Chapter 10 is The Passenger. This is The Mandalorian ferrying a passenger with precious cargo on a risky journey. This is what I call the spider episode. Big fucking spiders, ice planet. Frog lady. My favorite moment in this episode is anytime the Mandalorian just drops, I think out of atmosphere or drops, and the frog lady starts panicking,
starts fucking hopping.
Not the most plot heavy episode, very much more of a set piecey type episode of just being like, he gets stuck on this ice planet and the Razor Crest gets pretty fucked up because it gets, dropped through layers of ice and hit by spiders and blah, blah, blah. But, and a fun episode nonetheless, I would say. What say you folks? Henrique, Andrew, any thoughts on The Passenger?
Weakest episode of the season.
But would you say it's a bad episode?
No, I would just say, especially coming off the heels of the Marshal.
It's definitely not as good as the Marshal, no doubt about that.
But I tell you what it does do. It sets so you get your peak episode in welcome to season 2, motherfuckers. This is the Mando, right? And then
sure.
And then you get this, and it's like, okay, that was cool. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't a bad episode. It was cool. And then you get a slow incremental climb, which far surpasses the Marshal. So I don't know if this is like dynamic set in the way that they want to tell the story, or like, in order to make their peak seem higher than what they are. I don't know what it is. But I think this is the lowest point for the season, which is not a terribly every season's got to have a fucking low point, right? This is the lowest.
By default, sure.
This is the lowest point for the season. It's energetic. It's cool. It gives there's a lot of comedic relief with Baby Yoda in this one.
He's just slurping down those fucking babies. Good lord,
it's like the only ones left in their species,
right?
Damn it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's totally fine. Mm-hmm. I don't want it to sound like I'm hating on the episode, but I do think that this is the lowest point of the season.
I actually felt the same way. Like, I enjoyed it, but it didn't wow me. Like, it was a fun episode that didn't directly tie into the main quest so much. So I was like, this was a fun, more of a side quest somewhat, but not bad in any sense. Just there were some higher points. And I feel,
on a side note, not to cut you off, but I guess to cut you off, I don't know, but the this season as a whole is much more interconnected than the last season. So like, if you need a reason for Mando to go from here to here, this is what got you to the next planet. This is what got you to the next story beat. And if this is what got you there, then that's cool. You know what I mean? But it's I don't know. It's totally fine.
Right.
I mean, it feels a bit more season 1 in a sort of way of, it's not the most plot relevant thing that happens. It's kind of filling the void in a sort of way, and in a very entertaining and exciting way at times, but not something that is critical to how things play out beyond this point, certainly. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that covers it. Chapter 3, The Heiress. The Mandalorian braves high seas and meets unexpected allies, such as Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
And her Mandalorian compatriots.
Right. But Bo-Katan.
But mostly Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of wild, right? Character jumping off from animation to live action, and not only jumping off from animation to live action, but jumping off
Katie Sackhoff.
in the form of Katie Sackhoff being the voice actor, then reprising her role in live action. That's a pretty big deal. Very, very cool, very exciting. Right. Little scary situation here for little Yiddle. He almost gets swallowed alive by the whatever the hell it was in the water. He gets saved though. Thanks, Mandalorians. We appreciate your help. Yeah, what do you think about The Heiress? This episode 3 of season 2.
This is where it starts picking up again. I think Andrew will probably agree with this, but I will say that some of the episode titles were very, knowing that certain people and characters were going to be in the season. I was
spoilery.
I was like, clearly this is the Bo-Katan episode, right? Because one, I was like, it's too early for a certain other character from Clone Wars, but the Heiress, like, come on, who is that going to be? But I thought they did her very well. I'm so glad they got Katie Sackhoff to come in, and if anything, that just seems like a good get on her for voice acting, because I don't know if she's a very prominent voice actress. Like, I don't know her IMDb, but I know she is a very prominent live action actress. So
right.
It seems like a good get to voice Bo-Katan, and then just a perfect transition. Like, you know, she doesn't look exactly like Bo-Katan, but like very close, you know, in terms of translating a cartoon animation.
She sounds a lot like her, though, I would say. I think she does sound a lot like Bo-Katan.
And I mean, that makes it easy. But no, even with the look, like, I thought the look was very good.
No, I think they did a pretty good translation. And especially they had the Mandalorian helmets they did were kind of like almost like a weird sort of gendered version of Mandalorian helmets, but they translated for that and for the other female Mandalorian that they brought.
The suit looked awesome. Like,
they
Bo-Katan's suit looked exactly like the Clone Wars, but just in live action. Like, it looked great. Like, it, you know, bringing her in, they did it right, and it was a good episode, even outside of Bo-Katan. What say you, Andrew?
Did you like Bo-Katan?
I did.
Chapter 11?
I did enjoy Bo-Katan quite a bit. I think it did. You know, oddly enough, I think it made Mando look kind of like they were so hardcore. Those Mandos.
Oh,
yeah. It's like, are those what Mandalorians are like? Because holy shit, they're showing them up. You know, like, you got the one diving in the water. You got them. I mean, they're just kicking ass. You know, like in comparison to the Mando, he's trying to catch his breath. You know, and then you got these other Mandos flying in from the sky on their jetpacks and shit. Diving.
He's just getting used to his jetpack, man. All right,
right.
You know, he's only had it for a few episodes. Okay,
that's true. It's true. But you know, they just they really, I don't know, they really kick some ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think her cool intensity, like, as a character, like her prowess and like the energy that she displays in the character of Bo-Katan, like as a natural leader of Mandalorians, and how she isn't quick to discredit the Mando for having his sensibilities and his beliefs about not removing his helmet and this and that. Really show her characteristics as a leader and how she views the importance of unifying, like, what it is to be a Mandalorian, and for her people. I think that's really cool. And you can see her drive to, like, unify and bring her people back together. I think is really cool. And then we see more on that in later episodes, which we'll talk about. But I really enjoyed this episode, especially. I don't know how deep we're getting into it. I guess we're just fucking full on spoilers for every episode.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, we're on spoilers. Do what you want.
Okay, so you have the when they storm that fucking ship at the end, and they got to pull it up. and it's fucking blasting off the water because it got so close, and that guy was just gonna kamikaze that shit straight into the water, and they fucking saved that ship. Oh, so cool. And the dumbasses locked themselves up in the fucking airlock and they get blasted out.
Where did you say you were?
That was good.
I just want to say that guy that was going to kamikaze that shit, that's Harry Bosch you're talking about, okay? That's Titus Welliver himself. That's
Harry Bosch?
The man. That's the man you need to be doing some monologues about at some point in the future.
He was great too. He was great.
He was good.
Really, really, really cool episode. And I also thought it was really funny how the not the Akbars, the fuck are they called? The calamari,
Mon Calamari.
Yeah. Mon Calamari were really shitty towards them, and they like barely patched up his shit with fucking
put fucking fishnets everywhere.
I thought that was funny.
Fucking soup with the thing swimming around in it.
Yeah. Jumped on little baby Yoda's head.
Yeah, it was cool. It's like, oh, he's coming in for a landing. Not the smoothest. Oh, no, he's in the water. And then it's just getting fished out in the next shot by this fucking giant AT-AT looking crane thing. It was just cool. It's just like a world building like little thing, but it's cool.
It is cool. The cinematography in this episode was on point too, especially like with the takeoff of the ship and all that stuff. It looked really, really cool. Yeah.
And this episode directed by Bryce Dallas Howard off the back of
I did saw that. I did see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kudos to her. I thought it was a super episode when I saw it. So
yeah, this was really cool. Definitely
big step up from chapter 10.
Yeah, the other one is good. It was enjoyable, but this is like starting to it's getting to that Star Wars lore, that corner of the Star Wars lore where you're just like, you just get goosebumps thinking about the sorts of things, like Dave Filoni is, scheming these things up, behind closed doors. And it's just like, I love that the man gets the opportunity to do that. These are the things that kind of excite me about like what the Mandalorian's doing in terms of its storytelling. And this is honestly, this is just the beginning of things. Like there is many things to come in terms of storytelling and characters coming back. Just super cool stuff. Any other thoughts then on chapter 11? Or shall we take this into chapter 12?
Well, keep on keeping on.
Chapter 12 is The Siege. Mandalorian rejoins old allies for a new mission. So here comes transphobic and Trump supporter Gina Carano back into the action as hell of an introduction, right? As Cara Dune, and Carl Weathers is back. We like Carl Weathers. We do like Carl Weathers. Let's not lump him.
He directed this episode, right?
Directed by Carl Weathers. I don't know if he's ever directed anything.
I don't know.
I really don't know, but he's back behind the camera and in front of the camera. The man he's a man of many talents. And he's really good for acting lessons if you ever want to go to a lovely place called Burger King. They just do some lovely things there. Did you know that you could refill the sodas there? Free. Yeah, The Siege. What do you guys think about this one? Let me think about this one. I don't know that this one really made a huge impact on me, to be honest. They go to an Imperial base that's supposed to be empty, and then they find like weird clones and shit, like Snoke-looking motherfuckers, kind of in tanks, and then they take this huge vehicle and escape. Right? That's this one. Right?
Yeah,
we're all on the same page there. Okay, and this is on the same planet that most of season 1 took place on, like where Mando met up with those two in the first place, or no, where he met up with Carl Weathers.
That's
in the
right.
First place, I think. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of setup in this episode, but like tease a lot of things that I assume will pay off in later seasons too, like the whole cloning thing. Like we still haven't gotten like, what are they using Baby Yoda's blood for exactly? Like they're talking about clones, but is it like, are they making Snoke? So are they rebuilding Palpatine? It's not super clear. And they touch upon it a little bit later in other episodes, but I enjoyed the episode overall. I think it was cool. Like break-in sequence with the Mando reuniting with his season 1 crew. So it was good.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I enjoyed the little blue guy who was always scared of everything.
Yeah,
he was pretty funny.
Pilot, basically. Yeah,
little baby Yoda trying to get the little fucking wafer. Just steals the whole wafers and starts eating them.
This is when he's in the classroom?
Right, yeah. They put him in a class.
This is also where you get. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You can go.
I was just saying, I just like how Baby Yoda's always like he's a fucking little baby. He's just doing little baby shit. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
He's just being an asshole, stealing this kid's shit. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just find it funny. It's charming. The same thing with eating the fucking baby's like, oh my god, he's committing genocide. It's like he's a fucking kid. You know what I mean? Like
he's just hungry. He just wants a snack.
Yeah. With that, sorry to cut you off, but with that little macaroon, if you've ever watched Binging with Babish, the YouTube guy, where he like shows you how to cook stuff, he gets Jon Favreau on an episode, and they talk about how they made the little blue macaroon, and then he makes his own little blue macaroon kind of thing.
Nice.
He throw it up a little bit on himself too. Does he do that too?
Yeah. he likes vomits a little bit on himself.
I think
you've been double cut off, Andrew. So please proceed.
The high point from the chapter 10 episode was not the high point, but I thought the most interesting part was the use of the X-wing pilots being like fucking cops, pretty much. You get a little bit more of that in this one, where Cara Dune's like assumed the role of like in I think. Is it this episode or a later episode where she gets like the badge from the?
She becomes a marshal.
Yeah, I think
that's this episode, right?
That's this episode. I think it's the end where
they flip her badge, right? Like she goes from being a local law enforcement person to somebody of a greater calling, of somebody involved in the New Republic, which I think is pretty neat.
She's question mark. Maybe a Ranger of the New Republic. Who's to say?
Maybe.
I don't know what that title implies. So.
But I do. I do find it. I like you said earlier. The world building is becoming really interesting with how they go about establishing order in what could be a very chaotic environment after the destruction of the Empire. I think is pretty cool. I think it's also cool that you have these little outposts of ISPs. Conducting the research that they're conducting and stuff. I thought the whole thing was really cool. They blow that shit up. You have the TIE fighters coming in at the end, which was pretty exciting. Just pretty fucking cool. Carl Weathers couldn't shoot that shit though. They would have been done if it wasn't for the Mando. So that's cool. That's just cool. It's just a cool episode. I think the world building in this one was the most interesting in setting it up, like with the clones and stuff. But overall, the previous episode I think was higher up than this one.
Yeah,
but that's it.
Well, I think the next episode's also going to be higher up, and that is Chapter 13, The Jedi, in which the Mandalorian travels to a world ruled by a ruthless magistrate who has made a powerful enemy. And the enemy is Ahsoka fucking Tano.
Boom!
Portrayed by Rosario Dawson, who is awesome, and she's great. And I swear she had been fan casted like 9,000 times over for this role, and here she is, stepping into the shoes once filled by Ashley Eckstein and voice role. It's kind of weird. Katie Sackhoff makes the jump from TV, voice acting to live action, and the same doesn't quite happen here. But I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it at all. I mean, this is an Ahsoka that is still kicking. Thankfully, after Return of the Jedi, and many decades since anyone would have seen her. Whatever happens with her character at the end of Rebels, not that far yet, but you know what I mean? So it's such a cool thing to see her here. She's getting her own show, as we talked about. Great. That's obviously great. But she makes an impact here with her performance here, with the inclusion of the character here. I just think it's awesome. So I'm expecting you guys agree, but push back if you need to.
No, I was actually, while we were watching the episode, I figured that she would be coming in here because this is the episode with Dave Filoni most involved, and then they eventually show the title, but it's called The Jedi. So you're like, I wonder who the Jedi is going to be. But so I thought that much was predictable that she was going to show up. So I was like, wouldn't it be crazy if they just threw out Ahsoka like in the first scene, and then there you see like the double white lightsabers, and it's just Ahsoka, and like no teasing or anything, just like bring her in. And I was like, yes, this is what I wanted. I want a whole episode of Ahsoka and a series, but you know, given how much they kept it not a secret, I thought the right move was just bring her in, and that's exactly what they did. And it was a great episode, like awesome action, just, you know, I think everything that I wanted out of a live action Ahsoka. So, you know, I'm happy we're getting more.
Yeah, shit was awesome. Cool stuff in this one was how, like, in the shadows she was. In the shadows she was. Shadows. You know how she would disappear in the fog, especially in like that beginning sequence. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was kind of like darkness was her ally in a way.
Exactly. Right. She was born into it, molded by it.
Yeah, molded by it, you might say. Yeah, definitely.
She didn't see the light until she was.
Says she was already a Padawan.
Yeah, something like that. Anyways, yeah, so that was pretty cool. I did like the once again, I'll go back to the world building. I like the idea of a criminal faction taking control of like a planet in the absence of law and order. I think that is a real world thing. I think that's interesting, and I think that having Ahsoka kind of pushing against that is a really cool, like, totally Ahsoka thing to do. I think it's totally in character. Also, she is searching for information about the location of one fucking Thrawn, which is like
that name drop.
What? Fucking bonkers.
Shit.
Like, is that season 3 big bad? Is that like where we're going with this? Is this where we're going with
series
Ahsoka's series?
Yeah.
Right?
Like, and where's
what
Ezra?
The fuck is
like?
Right. And when does this episode take place relative to Rebels? You know, does this take? You know, so like, there's all sorts of questions after this episode. You do have the that Beskar spear, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like the whole Kill Bill sequence at the end.
Oh yeah.
Where like the Mando and whoever that other douchebag was out in the street, you could just hear the echoing of the fucking blades hitting across each other was fucking ridiculously cool. Boom, boom, boom. You know, like what side's winning?
That douchebag was fucking Michael Biehn. That's fucking Kyle Reese from the Terminator, man.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Like,
it was cool.
But he was playing a douchey guy in this, whatever. But like, I don't know, it was fun to see Michael Biehn and just
top tier
something that's just, you know, 20 years after, 30 years after the Terminator. Good Lord, 40 years. Fuck. You know,
and nailing it. Like, I mean, he nailed the role
and being cool. Like, yeah, and he just kind of felt like a hired gun kind of douchebag kind of sort of thing. And you know, there was like a sort of regality to the magistrate, but like look how lush her shit is, and then everyone else is living in squalor, and they're like fucking living in fear, and you got these prisoners strung up in this horrifying kind of thing where they're just
that was fucked up,
trapped and being miserable. Like, fuck,
getting zapped all the time.
It was good.
Yeah, it's terrible.
That wasn't good. It wasn't good that they were being tortured. Let me clarify my statement. It was the episode was good. I should be clear with my words.
And then you have those like assassin droids going out there. That was cool. How they like just like
and I feel like Mando took him out pretty easily, which to me made me feel like man, Mando's a badass. Like he's got it. He's still got it.
Although Ahsoka would have
people think
ass.
People think he's a softie because he's being a dad for this whole season, but he's still got it.
Although Ahsoka would have kicked his ass in that fight.
That's the whole sequence in the woods, like where he, like you find out Baby Yoda's name is
none other than Baby Grogu.
Little Grogu. And little Grogu isn't just like a baby eating eggs. Like he is like a fucking
he's like a 60-year-old motherfucker that's been in Coruscant.
Like, what do you mean by you're eating them eggs? Like, are you really committing genocide? Like, what the fuck are you all about, little Grogu? I'm on to you, you little son of a bitch. So, What do we know about Grogu? I guess he's still a little child, but he's well trained in the Force.
Well, I think biologically speaking, he's still a child, but clearly he was a youngling at the Jedi Temple. I mean, that was like a big revelation. Like he has Jedi training to some extent. You know, it's probably a pretty limited extent, but you know, he happened to skip out whenever old Darth Vader decided to roll through and kill everyone. But you know, it worked out pretty well, I guess. But
shit, what was I going to say? Fuck. His mission. The Mando's mission is to reunite Grogu or Baby Yoda with his people. Mm-hmm. Were you thinking his people being the Jedi, or were you thinking his people being little Baby Yodas?
Like his race.
Well, yeah, I think initially it felt like he was gonna, you know, like the planet of the Yoda planet, whatever the Yoda planet is. Like we still don't know what the Yoda species is called. We still don't know that. You know, even through chapter 16 or whatever, we still don't know that. So I think initially it was that, but I felt like kind of his discussion with the armor at the end of season 1 was very much clearly like he's a Jedi. You need to bring it, like he's got magic hand powers. You got to bring him back to the Jedi kind of thing. So okay, I think from the beginning of the season I was kind of expecting like he needs to reach out, he needs to fight a Jedi, and so like Ahsoka I assumed was the answer. Clearly not, as we learned by the end of this episode, but certainly an important path to kind of go through, and we get to spend some time with Ahsoka post Return of the Jedi, you know?
Yeah. And I do think
who'd have thunk it?
I do think it's really cool that she didn't take Yoda on, or Grogu on, and she is still doing Ahsoka things. Like, it is completely within her character to be...
totally makes sense. Like, you know, like, she had a pretty rough go of it as a Jedi, you might say, especially towards the end there, and... you know, coincided with the rise of the Empire and the fall of the Jedi, and like, you know, people pointed out like it's kind of weird that she doesn't really deny being a Jedi, but like there's like 2 Jedi that we know about in this era, like, you know, between her and Luke, and like maybe Cal Kestis makes it out of Fallen Order at some point after they make the sequels to those games, and he's lurking around the, you know, somewhere, but like, you know, the Jedi really aren't a thing at this point.
No,
like, even post Return of the Jedi, when the Sith have been vanquished or whatever, like it's not like the Jedi are really back in a big sense of things. At least not until
they had been hunted for fucking going, 30 years. Like, I mean, like why? Like, and everything that was a Jedi, or everything that was like everything Jedi related, was like fucking squashed by the Empire. So, like, I mean, if you have Force powers, you just end up having Force powers. You're not necessarily a Jedi. You're definitely not a Jedi. You just have Force powers. So it's definitely it's an interesting thing. I thought one question I have, there was one sequence there where she like, and she had like both of her lightsabers. What happened there? What was that exactly?
I think that was just some fancy cinematography.
Yeah, like it just looked cool. So like where I want to
each other. She's like igniting.
That you couldn't tell that they were both igniting. Kind of past. Yeah, I don't think it was anything.
Don't look too deep into it. Like the functionality of how that would work.
Yeah, it was just. It
just looked fucking cool. It did look cool. Okay,
it did look cool. I'll take it. It worked in that respect, did it not? Yeah.
All right, that was a cool episode.
It was a very cool episode. The Beskar spear is obviously really cool and certainly important moving forward.
Where they bang it,
Beskar is pretty good shit.
And they fucking just like, oh, dude, I had my sound all the way up when that was going. And you just, and it would just fucking ring out and shit. Oh, it sounded so cool. I love it.
I mean, honestly, it's kind of like a revelation in and of itself that Beskar can fucking block a lightsaber. Like,
yeah,
what do we know that can block a lightsaber in
Nothing.
Star Wars canon besides a lightsaber? Like that's kind of new territory. So like Beskar is some serious shit. Which, to be fair, like Mando tanks like 1 million blaster bolts in this thing throughout like the entirety of the series. He's just, especially since he gets the upgraded Beskar armor, he's just like, yeah, I'll just run in and take a few shots. No big deal. I'll be fine. It's like, well, I mean, you don't have armor covering literally every part of your body. They could probably just shoot you in the wrong place and you're fucked up for good. But like, all right, go for it, dude.
Badass.
And it works out for him. So, it's fine. It's fine. All right. Other thoughts on the Jedi? Chapter 14, The Tragedy. The Mandalorian and the child travel to an ancient site where another Mandalorian, or sort of Mandalorian, or at least a descendant of a foundling find him. This episode, directed by none other than Robert Rodriguez, finds the return, the real return of Boba motherfucking Fett.
Let's talk about this episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Because I think I went to you. I think I went on air, or I think I said off the air at some point that this might be the best Mandalorian episode I think I've seen. What an incredibly kinetic, fucking ridiculous episode this was.
Yeah.
It was nuts. You had the fucking robots flying in from the sky. You had wave after wave of fucking stormtroopers, and Boba Fett just bashing them in the head with that Tusken Raider spear thing, just beating the shit out of everybody.
That was fucking brutal.
You had rocket launchers and machine gun blasters. I mean, it was fucking nuts. It was a completely bonkers episode. You had Baby Yoda up on the top of a seeing rock, just like with a force field around him. Holy shit. You had Slave One flying in for the first time ever. And then, no, that didn't happen this episode. The finger. It happens in the later episode.
Next one.
Oh, you're right. I thought you were going to go there, and I was about to get chills all over again. I was ready for it. Just hearing you describe it. I'm going to let you describe it later, so I can get chills.
Bring it back.
We'll bring it up.
Dude.
We'll bring it up in chapter 15. But
like, you think of Slave One, like I think of Slave One in passing, and then I see Slave One in this, and I don't know what it is, but Slave One is a ridiculously badass ship. Like, it is just fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's just
it is so
design.
cool.
It sounds cool. It moves coolly. Like, the fucking cockpit's like doesn't even make any sense for like why you're sitting in it that way. But like, it's fucking cool, man.
It's cool. Yeah.
It really
and
is.
Boba Fett is cool, and he's got his
Fett's
arm.
cool.
Oh man, and Boba Fett's fucking thick in this Mandalorian.
Thick Fett. Yeah.
Yes. He makes the Mando look like a little man. Like, I mean, especially like when they're side by side in a later episode. Boba's like fucking standing there, and he's just like, "Holy shit, Mando! You need to get some gains, bro."
Get some gains.
Yeah, Mando. Yeah. Oh man, this episode right here is fucking incredible. Like, this is super cool. Star Wars. I can't think of cooler Star Wars. This is.
And I think this is one of the few where like this was clearly filmed on location, and I don't mean on location in the sense that like they went to a Star Wars planet to do it, but like they were clearly not using the volume for a good chunk of this episode. And to me, that felt like more like the filmmaking style that like someone like Robert Rodriguez brings to the table. Like, that's his shtick, and a sort of way of doing things on kind of like I don't know, like ground level type shit. And I think he really nailed it in terms of bringing this episode to life, because it's, it's pretty constrained to this one kind of environment, and Grogu's kind of just basically stuck in the force bubble for like 90% of this episode. And then Mando's like, well, fuck, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to stand around and shoot people or whatever.
He made a straight up Star Wars war movie is what he made for like half hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically just Boba Fett, Mando at one point, and Fennec, which, before I finish my thought, hopefully I don't forget it by the end of the point that I get to. Kudos to everyone for bringing Ming-Na Wen back, because I definitely thought they used her as a one-off character in the first episode of The Mandalorian and totally fucking wasted her. Like, they brought her back and it's just like, she's got a fucking robot thing that she's alive. Like, I don't care. Star Wars, whatever. I don't care. Ming-Na Wen's great. Bring her back.
Right.
And they did, and they brought her back, and like, it's awesome. And to see all three of them just like totally kicking ass and like just absolutely murking stormtroopers. I mean, Boba Fett for the most part doesn't have his armor in this episode. He's got this like little black cloak on. He's got fucking scars and shit, presumably from the Sarlacc.
Yeah.
And he's got this fucking Tusken Raider fucking staff, and he's just shattering armor left and right. It's just awesome. It's just fucking awesome,
It was so incredibly cool. I was sitting there. I had a couple beers. I'm just sitting there. I was all in, dude. I was all in on this episode. Yeah.
No.
And it didn't. I mean, I'm not going to skip ahead. But 14, 15, and 16 are like bang bang, like it's like a combo wombo fucking
That's
combo.
That's a 1, 2, 3 punch
yes.
if I've ever seen one. Yeah.
Right.
Man, 14, 15, and 16 really got me going.
Right. And I mean, I thought Boba Fett was cool before him, and I was like, what does he do? Like, he just kind of sits there, grabs Han Solo, you know, has cool armor, has a cool ship, you know. He's cool, but like, what does he really do? And like, he does some shit in this episode, and I think this solidified me. Like, okay, Boba Fett is a fucking badass. Like, Boba Fett is the bounty hunter. He doesn't even need his armor. I mean, he can take out a lot of people with his armor, but he just uses a staff and just wrecks stormtroopers. So like, yeah, I'm all on board with Boba Fett now.
And what's really cool about Boba Fett, not only does he kick ass, but he also has that Mandalorian sense of code and honor too, which like nobody's ever known about.
Yeah, and that's true. Like, this is kind of a new shade to Boba Fett than we've ever seen before, where Boba Fett has traditionally been a villain. You know,
he's just a bounty hunter.
Just a bounty hunter, but you know, he's been employed by the Empire. You know, so by default he's a villain. Whereas here it's just kind of just being like, well, there's no more Empire, and you know, I need that armor. Like, you know, he wants his armor back. So he's like, all right, well, fuck it, I'll help you. You know, and so you kind of get Boba Fett as a good guy basically for the duration of this series, right? I mean,
he just goes where he's needed, and like he needs that, or he goes where he is employed, and his code of honor says, I will get you, I want my armor, you will give me my armor, and in return I will return the child to you. And no holds barred, that's exactly what the fuck I'm gonna do.
He holds true to it. Yeah, I mean, it was neat to see. Like, I mean, you know, the crazy thing is, like, obviously Boba Fett is a hugely popular character ever since his inclusion in the Star Wars Holiday Special, the classic that it was. But like, Boba Fett's always been a joke. You know what I mean? Like, he just kind of pops up in the background, and like the one time he was given a chance to do anything, his jetpack got shot, and then he like into the Sarlacc pit.
Right?
And that was it. That's all Boba
That's all he ever did. Before. It's true.
And like, you know, like they you know, they tried to make him badass in comics and like probably in the old Legends canon, you know, the old EU stuff, but like we've never seen, and I mean seen, Boba Fett do cool shit. We saw Boba Fett do cool shit out of the armor, and then when he got his armor, he just fucking like one-shotted like every person in sight. It was awesome. You know what I mean? Like, he got his armor and he was just like it was, you know, like Mando was just like, okay, all right, it's your armor. I think that's yours. You know what I mean?
Shot that ship down. Poof. Shot both the ships down.
He shot both the ships down. He caught one crash into the other. I mean, like, you can't fake that shit, you know? So
it's ridiculous. It was really cool. I mean, up until this point, I should say, highest point for the season, and arguably for the series, I want to say. Like, I can't remember season 1 entirely, but I can't remember being this ridiculously pumped after the end of an episode for Mando. And I was pretty pumped for season 1, don't get me wrong. I thought season 1 was pretty excellent. But this left a lasting impact on my Mando experience.
You know, they're veering into the parts of the Star Wars lore that we kind of know a little bit about, and like that's kind of like it takes the foundation of season 1 of just being like, great, we've established characters and like a tone and everything that we really like and really vibe with, and then they're just throwing the little shit on top of that. You know what I mean? Like, it's
really cool.
Like, of course it's going to work. It's like, you know, it's just adding on to something that's already good, and it's throwing it with things that we already like and know that are good. It just makes sense that it works as well as it does. And I got to say, for my money, hats off to Tamara Morrison, who obviously was Jango in the prequels, but he's never actually physically portrayed Boba Fett, and he's awesome here. He really does nail it, you know, and
complete menacing badass for sure.
The voice we've kind of heard in the special editions and stuff like that, but like, I'm just like, all right, Boba Fett is a badass. I've seen it. I believe it. This is like the first real justification we've had for Boba himself being awesome. And like it makes like his character make more sense in light of like the original trilogy, even, just going back and watching that like probably takes a different complexion after seeing some of the stuff here. So I just think it's really cool. Anyway,
let's talk about the next one.
Also pretty cool. Chapter 15, The Believer, Mandalorian, recruits an old enemy. He gets Bill Burr.
Bill Burr.
He gets Bill Burr back. Mayfeld. He gets Mayfeld, who heralds from Space Boston, to come and help out and track basically access this terminal that'll give him the location of Moff Gideon so he can go fuck his day up. This is a good episode too, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool episode. This is a real cool episode. You get the exploration of the Mando's code with his helmet, like the point, I guess, of him not exposing his face is not that he has to wear his helmet, but that the Mandalorian is a like persona. It's not I'm not a man, it's my ideals, I think is what, kind of like the V for Vendetta thing, right? Like, you won't see my face, and my face doesn't matter, and that's why I can't show it to you. Like, it doesn't matter what I'm wearing, I'm a fucking Mando, And so he does that, and then he ends up taking off his helmet to do the code scan thing. But then you get also a little bit of Star Wars lore, which I think is for some books, with Operation Hellfire, or Operation fucking Scorch the Earth, or whatever. Cinder.
Operation Cinder, yeah.
Yeah, with that fucking douchebaggy guy, which is apparently fucking Voldemort. Did you know that?
It's not Voldemort.
It's not Voldemort?
It's definitely not Voldemort.
I thought it was...
It is, however, the Night King.
That's it. Voldemort is fucking Ralph Fiennes, or whatever his name is.
Oh, fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I got it mixed up. It's the Night King. That's right.
It is the Night King. From the earlier seasons, the first couple seasons that the Night King appeared in. So I think seasons 4 and 5, and then it was recast when like the Night King had to get killed in 30 seconds. Spoilers.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah. But I think the high point here was when Bill Burr said "fuck him," and he just like shot him like in the middle, surrounded by like all the. Also, don't get me wrong, you get the combat on the back. I'm getting really excited about 14, 15, 16. I don't know if you noticed it, and I'm getting a little chatty.
I can feel it. I'm feeling it.
You feel my energy? Yeah. So let me back up. Let me rewind. They have to get in. They have to get into the fucking base. So they Mando's kicking ass without his Beskar armor, right? Like he takes a couple of hits and it hurts his shoulder and shit. But wave after wave of people coming in, he's continuing to fuck him up with like staffs and all that. Oh, so cool. And then he gets on the base and he's got to try to infiltrate that shit. And Bill Burr's a little scared because that guy from Operation Cinder. So he says, "Fuck it, I'll take it." He takes off his helmet. And he goes in there and gets his face scanned, and then they got to sit there and have a conversation. And Bill Burr says, "Fuck you," and he shoots him. And then now everybody's on their shit. Fucking Boba comes in with his Slave One. They hop on the back of that ship. They shoot off. And they're shooting off, and the fucking TIE fighters are after him and all this shit. Boba drops that bomb. I can't remember the name of it. It's like a sonic bomb.
Fucking seismic charge.
Seismic charge, and it just drops, and the whole thing's fucking silent. Boom! It's so fucking cool. Yes.
It's the best thing the prequels produced was that fucking sound design alone. Oh man, it was glorious for them to bring it back.
As soon as that bomb, as soon as that bay opened up on his door, and I saw it drop out of his ship, I had a pizza in my hand. I'll put it to you this way: I had a pizza in my hand. I'm just, and then it fucking blew up. I'm like, so pumped. Oh, goddamn, it's so good. And then Kara. The Trump supporter, she lets Bill Burr go, but she lets Bill Burr go. And
you can go a little Burr.
Yeah, that was a cool episode. I think
I don't know if she's a Trump supporter, I must say, but she's definitely a COVID denier, and to me, that's not acceptable behavior either. So whatever,
But she plays a cool character.
She's on Parler if you want to follow her.
Of course, she's on Parlor. Anyways, we got some cool uniforms. We got some cool stormtroopers in this one. We got some. I think it was interesting. You can see the interaction between like the locals and how they're being exploited by the Imperials, and how even though there's no Imperial, like there's no Empire anymore, on the local level, that's not felt. Like, you know, they're still being exploited by the Empire.
Right.
And I think that's interesting. You also get the cool ships, or not the cool ships, but those semis, I guess, that are full of like explosives.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool that you get a little bit of like what it is to be involved in it adds some nuance to the Empire a little bit, right? Like Bill Burr was a part of the Empire, and they betrayed their innermost. They betrayed themselves.
They just like sacrifice their own people, right?
Exactly.
Like, they don't care.
And that caused a separation within the Empire, to where it adds that nuance it adds a little bit of characterization to the people within the Empire. They're not just like mindless fucking bucket heads. There's actual people underneath the bucket head.
That makes me think about the stormtroopers sometimes. I'm like, damn, we're just murdering like all these people, you know. And I get, it's not to say that clones aren't people, but it's like, what if these are like the Bill Burrs or the Finns, you know, that might have defected? I'm just like, nope, they're all getting murdered. Like, there's so many stormtroopers died this season, so many, so many.
And after we get out of this episode, we'll get into it. But that gets that actual sentiment gets added into chapter 16, which I thought was really interesting.
Right.
Well, I guess just to round up things on chapter 15 then, so we can move on to the aforementioned chapter 16. It's good stuff. I mean, Bill Burr was legitimately excellent in this episode. I mean, the character, like what they did for that character was just really well done, I thought. And I thought that he kind of nailed that, you know, for someone who has been on record saying like Star Wars is kind of, you know, dog shit. Like, you know, like it is interesting that he even took this role in the first place, and that he gave enough of a shit to kind of just go for it. And, you know, maybe this is such a different corner of the Star Wars universe that it appeals to someone like him, but he was good. He was very good in this, and it was a cool episode. And that fucking scene with the Night King was tense in all the right ways of just, you know, dealing with this fanatic, you know, full believer of genocide. Like, how do you fucking reconcile that? And if you're Bill Burr, the answer is you just shoot the motherfucker, and like, you know, fine. You know what I mean? Like, Nazis are Nazis. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it was good. So chapter 16. Chapter 16 is the rescue, and this is the one that is certainly lingering in our brains, you know, with some recency being at the finale and all. So Peyton Reed delivers us chapter 16, the rescue.
Ant-Man's Peyton Reed, right?
Yeah. That's
Ant-Man's Peyton Reed, indeed, in which the Mandalorian and his allies attempted daring rescue of baby Grogu, who had been kidnapped. I don't even know if he said as much, but he'd been kidnapped by the Dark Troopers a couple episodes ago. You know, they've been trying to track the whereabouts of Moff Gideon. They get it, you know, from this Imperial terminal.
Episode. Oh my God, we're going to talk about this episode.
And then they got to go in for the rescue. Well, what words do we have for the rescue, if we can even put our reactions into words, you know?
First and foremost, this is the episode that makes the Mando look like a little itty bitty baby Mando compared to the fucking jacked Boba, who's been surviving in the deserts of Tatooine for fucking 30 years. Just complete badass. But even Boba has a hard time dealing with Bo-Katan and her crew. Like,
yeah, they got into some conflict there.
Yeah,
and there was some real
in like a little bar cantina type place, right?
Yeah, but I mean, those Mandalorians are a tricky bunch. They're just like you're not
running
a
on the walls, using fucking jetpacks and shit.
And he's like, I never said I was a Mandalorian, bro. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
You better calm your jets, little one, or whatever the fuck he says.
All right,
Princess. Hears his voice and thinks clone trooper and thinks,
yeah,
you're not a fucking Mandalorian, you fucking fraud. You know what I mean? So
I mean, it's yeah.
But fast forward into the episode, like it doesn't miss a beat. Like we're fighting in the cantina, and then we're capturing the guy. That happened second,
that happens
right?
before that.
Yeah.
That's how the episode starts. Is a fucking dogfight with the Slave One in pursuit of an Imperial.
Yeah, that's right. And they shoot him with the EMP, and they shut down. And that's when the Imperial guy says, like, you killed millions of stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Like,
obviously you're the problem. She just fucking blasts him in the head. Pow. It's like, well,
to be fair, I think she was right to blast him in the head because he was a Nazi.
Wait. Quick question though. So the little teardrop prison tat that she has is obviously the little rebel symbol. That's for everyone who survived Alderaan. That's what it did seem to
imply that, yeah.
Like, because it was like I saw the tattoo. Like, you're from Alderaan. You know, like. We blew up your planet. We killed your people. You're a bunch of terrorists. I was like, oh, is that what people do if they survived Alderaan? Like they get a little tattoo right there.
I mean, the fact that it's like a rebel symbol to me is like it's like a pretty clear indication. Like, hey, if like your planet got blown up by the Empire, you're probably not going to be an Empire sympathizer.
Right.
So you're going to naturally gravitate towards to the rebellion and basically form your allegiances alongside them. Obviously, given the fact that General Leia Organa is an instrumental part of the rebellion, might influence your decision as well. But like,
think about that story building for a second. Like Mandalorian aside, like you have the princess of a destroyed planet leading a rebellion against an empire that destroyed her planet. Like that's fucking cool. Star Wars is fucking cool, dude.
It's cool.
Anyways. Yeah, so they capture the clone guy, and then they go and pick up Bo-Katan and her people, and then they're like, "Hey, let's plan an attack." So they plan the attack, and they have that stolen Imperial shuttle running away from Boba Fett. Like Boba Fett can't hit the shuttle, but as soon as they,
I like how they tease him though.
Oh man,
they're just like, "Oh, you make it look invincible," and it's like, "Oh, turn on your shields, princess." He's like, "I can do this shit." Like, don't you talk to me about blasting your ship.
So like, hey, let me in your ship. We're under attack by the Slave One. Let me in. And they're like, no, deploy TIE fighters. And those TIE fighters scoop in, and they're fucking, and they shoot out the fucking nose of that
was cool.
thing.
That was a cool shot when they just load up to get like blasted
when
out
they're
of that
fucking gone.
Cannon.
And so like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? Well, they fucking fly in there anyways. But now Boba's got ties on his back.
Like, I'm out.
He fucking clowns them. Like his guns flip and they invert and they just shoot backwards and shit. And, and then he's gone. Poof.
Boom.
Made short work of the TIE fighters.
Figured out how to aim magically. Whoops.
Right.
Oh well.
So they fly in. That was cool. They kicked some ass. That was cool.
They kicked some ass. That was cool. Yeah. Whatever. That was cool. It was cool, man.
And then
some other cool things happen.
They're walking across that boardwalk, right? And they fucking just like whoop, and they just dip off the side of the fucking catwalk,
right? With their jetpacks.
And then the stormtroopers, and the stormtroopers come in from behind and they fucking flank them, and they just make short work of them. Oh, it's so cool.
That was a great scene.
And then, shit. What's her face? I can't remember her character's name.
Which one?
The sniper.
Fennec?
Fennec shoots the guy in between the boxes. Pow.
Yeah.
She's a complete badass. Everyone's a complete badass. Absolutely everybody. Until they activate the fucking shadow troopers.
Yeah, well, they get to the bridge and there's nobody there.
They fucking boot up, and the Mando's like, hey, I'm just going to go plug this thing, and I'm going to lock him up in the thing. He's too late. That one fucking touches the door and fucking pries it open.
Fucking Terminator style.
Oh my God. Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, let's talk about the Dark Troopers for a hot minute here.
Fucking dubstep
my initial read on them was like, these are T-800s. Like, these are Terminators.
Yes.
and I ended up watching the finale again. You guys might have watched it twice yourselves. In terms of posture and actually design, they look like fucking RoboCop, actually. Like, they look like RoboCop, and their movements are very RoboCop in some ways, but they're like a weird like melding of RoboCop and Terminator, aka the two motherfuckers you do not want to mess with, and they live up to that standard, at least in
like, it's just completely.
At least if you're the Mando, they live up to that standard.
It's just completely menacing how deliberate their actions are. Boom, boom, I'm coming. You know what I mean? And
just the part where they're fucking pounding his face in for like a minute straight. Yeah, that was just like, you know, I saw someone online make the point of like, well, it's a good thing he has a helmet this time. Yeah. You know,
that was some Game of Thrones.
Otherwise his head would be fucking squished. Like, it would be flat. His head would be flat.
It would look a little bit like season 4 of Game of Thrones.
Yes, it's exactly what it would look like. And it just didn't stop. It was so relentless. And then you had them pounding on the fucking glass at the same time they're pounding on his head. Super fucking intense. Like, the second time I watched it was over. Like, it was interesting. The first time I watched it, like, it seemed to last so long. It's like, oh my God. Second time I watched it, it seemed like it was over in like half a second.
Yeah, he just puts his button and they get out the blast door.
Yeah, like they punch him a couple times in the head, and then he's like off, and then he just, you know, and then he breaks free and then launches him off. But the first time I watched it, that was like the most fucking intense thing I think I've seen in a long time.
And that was only halfway through the episode.
Yeah, that was only halfway through the episode, exactly. Fuck, that was crazy. Anyway, so he pulls out his Beskar spear and makes short works of him and shoots him out the fucking the hold. And then you've got the little baby Yoda scene there with him with Polo Hermanos. Fucking
los pollos hermanos.
Yeah. Holding the fucking thing.
Like a dark
saber over the baby Yoda. And I can't believe he thought that he was just gonna get the baby Yoda.
He fell for it.
Like, oh, okay, yeah, you keep your fucking sword. I'm just gonna grab my baby Yoda. Come on, man. You knew that shit wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Fucks him up real quick though, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it was a cool little duel that they had. You know, it's a good thing he had some Beskar armor. That certainly saved his life. But yeah, it was just really neat to see them kind of squaring off, and I felt like the choreography there was
great.
Well done. I mean, it was a short duel, but it was the way that Moff Gideon was wielding it. Like, it was just this wild, like, I'm gonna murder you.
Yeah,
and, like, cut you into 19 different pieces.
He's no Jedi or Sith, right?
Of battling.
You know? Yeah. He's not trained in it. He just has his immense, powerful weapon. He's like, I'm just going to use it like a sword, kind of thing. So that was a cool fighting style, right?
Yeah, I just thought it was cool, just how brutal it was.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And then you have the Mando, like, using the back of his foot to kick up the spear to go around his shoulder to fucking bonk him on the head. You know what I'm talking about? That cool one move where, whoop, whoop, boom! Oh, man, the Mando kicks so much ass. Especially with spear. You see it in the previous episode in The Believer where he has to use, like, the indigenous people's fucking weapons. The fucking spear and stuff. Yeah, like, he kicks ass with a fucking spear. Anyways, yeah. So that whole sequence was cool. You get them, they're held up in the thing, and they're holding them hostage, and then all of a sudden, all the fucking shadow troopers come back in. They start fucking,
they're back,
and they just fly into the fucking hold.
And I had that thought because, like, you know, he shoots them off into space, and I'm like, yeah, but they can fly. I'm like, they're coming back. There's no doubt about it. Like, you've bought yourselves some time, but they're coming back, and boy, did they come back.
They come back in such a menacing way too. They all fucking fly into that fucking catwalk. And it's just a row of fucking Terminators and RoboCop Terminators rolling around. You know what I mean? Like, it's scary. Like, you know, they're imposing looking, and they just
like,
square up on the fucking door. They just square up on the fucking door.
Boosh, boosh, boosh. Yeah, just like they're just fucking robots. I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
just relentless, and they're like, "Holy shit!" They start pounding on the door, and then what's his face starts talking his shit. Yeah, and that's another thing too. Plot hole for fucking Star Wars. Sabine gave the Darksaber to another person in Rebels, right?
To Bo-Katan, yeah.
Okay, so why can't what's his face give it to Bo-Katan?
Yeah, I've been trying to figure that out, and like I've been reading into it, and some of it's not super clear. So I'd love to see what Dave Filoni says, since he, is the master behind that. But I heard different takes about, Sabine never really like won it from anybody. She just like got it like from Maul's lair, and that the whole clan was around seeing it. So like, if somebody has it and like is the wielder of it, like they beat somebody, and assuming that Moff Gideon like took it from Bo-Katan or from whoever, then like it's his. So that Mando like took it from him. So now like Bo-Katan needs to take it from Mando to actually have it, or else like if people heard about it, it's more like they talk about like the story, right? So it's like if people had heard about how Mando beat Moff Gideon, they would have been like, well, he should be the leader, not Bo-Katan. So it wasn't super clear, but I've been trying to figure out how to explain that.
I've also seen speculation that, it may depend on who the previous wielder was, which is to say that I've seen speculation that maybe Moff Gideon himself is Mandalorian. And so it's passing from Mandalorian to maybe Mandalorian if Bo-Katan has it, whereas Maul is obviously not. And also, with the caveat added that I haven't finished Rebels, I really don't know what you're talking about. I'm just kind of running off off the cuff in terms of what I have read about and what you guys have already said.
The Darksaber episode of Rebels brought me to tears. Like it is
cool.
Well, I think the one episode of Rebels that I've seen from season 4, which is to say that the episode that they premiered at the Star Wars Celebration that Andrew and I attended, I believe dealt with at least partially the Darksaber.
It's when they go back to Mandalore, or
it's Mandalore. Deals with Mandalore at least.
So I've seen some shit, but it didn't have the context for the shit, so I don't really fully understand it. But
the episode of the Darksaber for Rebels is absolutely incredible.
I will get there. I will fulfill my promise to watch Star Wars Rebels about 5 years too late, but I will fulfill it nonetheless.
But the anyway, so he beats them or whatever, and they're coming back, and boom, 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 we get the pounding at the door, and then the X-Wing flies in.
A lone X-Wing. Just one. Oh, great, we're saved.
Flies in.
Who could it be? Who could it be?
And the fucking music changes.
Oh. Is it Ahsoka? Does Ahsoka know how to fly?
No, it's not Ahsoka, because then the fucking green lightsaber ignites. Oh. And he walks through the door and he's just fucking chopping them up. Oh.
I literally said, let's not jump to conclusions. Ezra has a green lightsaber, like talking out loud, like in my head. It's like, it might still be Ezra. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a certain Jedi.
And lo and behold, it's Kit fucking Fisto back from the grave.
With his stupid grin.
He's smiling his whole way through.
But you see the glove.
Yeah, then you know.
See the glove.
And I was like,
Fisto's got a glove. All right, I can drop the Kit Fisto bit. I stole that from the internet. Sorry, internet. I source you now. Source the internet.
But the what you never see any of the I've never seen used before in live action was fucking Force Crush.
Yeah,
crush like a tin can.
Yeah, last little droid
just fucking crushes that robot.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? It's like when the Mando's going up against the Shadow Troopers, they're like fucking RoboCop Terminators. When Luke Skywalker goes up against
just plowing through
the Dark Troopers, they're like, it's a little robot guy, little robot. He just cut up little robot guy. Big deal.
Like it's nothing.
I mean? It's just. I mean, he plows through those things,
and
like literally, like they're nothing.
And it's interesting because Ahsoka Tano didn't have that sort of menace to her when she fought. Like, for example, if Luke Skywalker would have cut through the fucking door to fight the Mando, Like there would be a certain type of menace there. You know what I mean? Like you'd be like, holy shit.
It was a little frightening.
Yeah, he's not going to stand a chance.
Like, yeah.
I didn't.
Like if he's
don't
not
get
on
me
your
wrong.
side.
Ahsoka had that. Ahsoka probably could have kicked his ass, but I mean, there wasn't.
Yeah.
Maybe it just wasn't framed in the same light. Like it wasn't shot the same way. It wasn't. The music wasn't the same when they were fighting. But when Luke showed up to save him, it was straight up Rogue One.
It was.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, obviously, it was intentional. You know what I mean? Like
It wasn't
how
okay.
they did that.
All right, well, it was fucking incredible.
But I mean, it was like, you know, we've never really. I mean, I don't know, to a certain extent. Like Vader in Return of the Jedi is very talented, but like certainly the lightsaber battle, or in Empire too, the lightsaber battle that we saw in New Hope is not really reflective of Vader's capabilities as a Sith. And even Empire and Return of the Jedi is better, but we've never seen Vader in that sort of unrestrained kind of state of rage that you see him in Rogue One, where he just absolutely let off the leash. And in the same vein, like I think even probably to a greater extent, you've never seen Luke Skywalker quote unquote Jedi Master, because he's never really been a Jedi Master. You know what I mean? Like Empire, he barely stands with Vader, who's probably kind of toying with him to some extent. And Return of the Jedi, he kind of gives into his hate a little bit, and that's what gives him a little bit of an upper hand. But then he kind of pulls back on the throttle a little bit, and ultimately he doesn't really win that duel. It's Vader's sacrifice and turning back to Anakin that saves Luke in that. And then from that point on, you've got Luke Skywalker, who, you know, for all intents and purposes, is kind of the last Jedi or in the galaxy. I was going to say on the planet. I was like, I guess there's a few planets in Star Wars or whatever, but like, you know, he's kind of the last Jedi in the galaxy at that point. And so it's kind of up to him to be, you know, the last Jedi, to take on the Jedi teachings, to incorporate what Yoda taught to him.
And the most you get of that is in...
But you don't see that, you know, like even in the last, you know, by the time you see him in The Last Jedi, he's a kooky old wizard who hates the Jedi and has renounced the Jedi ways because, you know, he tried to do it the right way. He tried to pass on his knowledge to a new generation, and it burned him. Kylo Ren turned on him, and the Jedi Temple burned, and he lost everything that he worked toward, and, you know, he's jaded. But he didn't get to be jaded, you know,
by not doing
until
anything.
That point.
Right.
You know, like he worked for a time, and to be fair, The Rise of Skywalker talks about, I think, you know, how he had, you know, this Jedi killer or whatever that maybe they had a run-in with at one point in history or something like that. But it's pretty nonsense bullshit, as most of that movie is. And The Mandalorian is the first opportunity that you get to see Luke Skywalker as Luke Skywalker is in his prime, which is to say, this is maybe Jedi Master. I mean, Jedi Master is a lofty title. Does he deserve that? I mean, no, probably not. He's just fucking rolling off whatever he has. Like, by default, he's the best Jedi in the galaxy because he's kind of the only one still around. You know, Ahsoka's around. She's not really a Jedi or whatever, but like, He shows some flashes of potential, to say the least. Like he knows how to twirl a lightsaber, and he knows how to wield the Force. And when we see it here in a way that we've never seen Luke Skywalker wield it before, you know, and that brings it to that Rogue One Vader at his fucking peak rage. This is Jedi at his peak fucking Jedi type potential. You know what I mean?
And it's fucking cool. Yeah. It is cool.
It's so awesome. And he's hooded the whole way through, so you don't get any wonky CGI that mars those scenes. You just get cool ass fucking hooded Luke with the fucking ignite the green lightsaber, just
so
running
cool, right?
Through those the dark troopers. I'm calling them shadow troopers because you know.
What are they called? Dark troopers, shadow troopers? I call them shadow troopers.
I think they're dark troopers in the show. It's astonishing. It's amazing. You know, I think you two probably have the surprise preserved for you. I unfortunately didn't get a chance to watch this episode because I selfishly wanted to wait until I could watch it in 4K. So I had to wait a couple days to watch it. And I saw Mark Hamill put a little cheeky post on Instagram.
I saw that.
You know, like, you guys seen anything good on television lately? And I'm like, you fuck. You fuck. You know, so I had an inkling of an idea of what I was going to walk into.
Did, not to go on a side note, do the Dark Troopers or Shadow Troopers, are they like the third iteration of the Death Troopers from Rogue One?
It wasn't super clear to me because they said they started off as like stormtroopers, right? Or like people inside them, and now they're like, we've removed the last human element. So I don't know. That wasn't super clear to me.
So, yeah, I mean, maybe. I think that's probably something that makes sense. And the old canon and the Legends universe, I guess, as it's called now, the Dark Troopers were actually Force-infused stormtroopers. Like, they were Force-sensitive stormtroopers. But there were still people in there. Like, they weren't just droids. So clearly this is a different iteration of that than what they did there. But I thought that's the direction they were going.
And they obviously
Grogu's blood and such.
And they obviously cinched Luke because they stopped the insurgents on the...
They're like, all right. There's some power emanating from the docking bay. Let's see what's going on there. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, you know, like, there is some sort of... I don't know. There's a little bit of mystery to them that's still preserved. Like, we really don't know a whole lot about them other than just, like, is this Moff Gideon's kind of side creation? Is this what the Empire had always been working to but never quite perfected? You know, like, I mean, obviously it still comes to the point where, like, these guys are droids and, like, Luke is just cutting through them like butter in the same way that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon cut through the battle droids like butter, of just being like, you know, these guys are fucking useless. I mean, they're better than the battle droids, you know what I mean? But at a certain point, it's just, if you got a lightsaber and can just cut through anything like they're just fucking paper, you know, like, you don't really have any sort of conscience about that. Whereas if they're fucking people in those suits, like, maybe you're just like, let me wound these people or something like that. Whereas, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Luke doesn't give a shit. It's like, the Empire's the Empire. Nazis are Nazis. You know what I mean? So I'll kill whoever's a Nazi. Like, it doesn't matter to me. You punch a Nazi, it's fine with me. I don't know, but it is interesting, the development of those, because they do make an explicit reference in dialogue of, like, these are the third generation. Like, the weakness was getting rid of the people out of the suit, you know, or something like that. So I don't know.
It's fucking cool. That's the bottom line.
It's fucking cool. That is the bottom line.
And we didn't even talk about it. Luke Skywalker takes Baby Yoda.
Takes Baby Yoda, and you know,
and he picks up his helmet. And he's got that sad fucking look on his face with the tears welling up in his eyes. His Baby Yoda goes.
Emotional, man.
Yeah,
it's fucking emotional. You know,
fuck, dude, I cried.
That's Baby Yoda's dad right there.
Like,
Dad's sending his kindergartner off to school, you know, and my little baby's going to school, except I won't see him at 5 p.m. I'll see him, and who knows the fuck.
I saw a really good meme where it had like Darth Vader saying to Luke, you know, let me, before I die or whatever, let me look upon you with my eyes. Mm-hmm. And it had this. Yeah. It had the same thing with Baby
for
Yoda.
Sure. It's the same vibes. Yeah, totally.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, because I mean, you see Baby Yoda like reaching for his face, and he just takes it off, and and like you think about, he's just like looking at Pedro Pascal, just looking at a puppet, right? Like, he's just looking at a little puppet.
Such a good actor, right?
And you see like the emotion on his face, and you can't help but like think of all that they've been through, and that was it. Goes from such a high of like seeing Luke Skywalker do the most amazing, you know, Jedi shit we've ever seen, and then just like a heartbreaking goodbye.
See, no, I got a little emotional when I saw Luke Skywalker too. Like the whole bit there was a little bit emotional for me. I don't want to sound like a weeb. But like the whole thing, the whole bit there was like kind of like when I saw Luke, you know, or when I saw him get off of his fucking thing and he started kicking ass to come save him, you know, because they were in such dire fucking straits. There was no way they were making their way out of that if he did not show up. And he showed up last second, coming in there and saved the day, and then he fucking shows up just to take the Baby Yoda. Like, oh my god! And then he pulls off his helmet. The whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't weeping by the end of it, but I mean, I definitely had a tear stroll down my cheek at the very end there. It was.
Yeah. No, I actually watched this at 4 a.m. that Friday, on my night shift. I was on the night shift in the hospital, and my worker and friend Brian was like, "It comes out at 3 a.m. We're gonna watch it." And I was like, "All right." It was like 3 a.m. We had like some work to do. We finished up. It's like 4 a.m. Like everything's quiet. We're watching Mandalorian. We're watching on this like pretty shitty hospital TV. At least it wasn't, like I wasn't gonna watch it on some like 13-inch laptop, but I was like, I'm gonna watch it on this TV. And even that, like, it was an experience, just not knowing what was gonna happen, and just seeing all the cool stuff happening in the first half of the episode. And then the second half, like, just knowing that it's Luke, but like not really believing it, because the whole time, like, I don't know, I really didn't think they were gonna bring Luke in for this season. Like, I was just like, he's too big, like it's gonna be so hard. You have the CGI, like, I just didn't see him doing it. So I'm expecting Ezra, or more realistically, like a new Jedi or something, that's someone that survived. But the whole time, I'm just like on the edge of my seat, just waiting and then each time, like, you get the green lightsaber, you get the hood, you get the hand, and I'm like, then he takes off his hood. Like, what an amazing sequence.
Let's talk about it. He does take off his hood.
Yeah. And it's CGI, and it's obviously CGI. Although at first I was like, wait, is that a different actor? Like, it kind of threw me off a little bit, because it didn't look like original Mark Hamill.
A little uncanny valley for you.
Yeah, but I was just like, whatever, man. It's fucking Luke. Like, it's obviously slightly different, but like, you're not like, who is that? Like, is that, like, it's obviously Luke, right? Like, there's no, I don't know. I didn't have any second thought about it, and the technology is still not perfect, but I thought it was better. And
right.
I went with it.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. It was like, therein lies the calculus of, you want the story to push in the direction of bringing in Luke fucking Skywalker. And like, Mark Hamill has aged fine. Mm-hmm. He looks good for his age, but it doesn't look like he did.
Can't redo that, no.
Jedi. That's how the passage of time works.
He can't do like a Samuel Jackson where like you DH him.
Yeah, he hasn't quite aged to that extent, certainly. And so it's like, do you worry about technological limitations, or do you just push into the story direction you think that makes the most sense? And I think that in a certain sense, it's like, again, like, how many Jedi are really out there? Like, Luke is, for all intents and purposes, kind of what makes the most sense. Like, yes, you could pick up on the Rebels thread and bring in Ezra. What does that mean? Beyond that, what do you do besides saying, Ahsoka says, JK, lol, I'll train him. I changed my mind. Like, what do you do in terms of what you've established? And so Luke is kind of the obvious decision, but it's not obvious in the sense of the technology. And so it's do you let yourself be limited by that? Like,
would you have recast him though? I'm just
and here you
were in those shoes,
right?
Like, do you recast?
And
Luke?
so and here. I mean, in terms of recasting and in terms of how you do it, I mean, I think that's the bigger question is like, okay, we know the story points in a specific direction. How do we do it? And so you have the Rogue One model of let's bring back actors. In the case of Tarkin, bring back actors from the dead. In the case of Leia at the time, obviously de-age. Or not even de-age. I didn't even do a de-aging thing. They just literally did a face swap of someone else playing the role of Leia, and then they had Carrie's face on top of that. And in The Rise of Skywalker, that was probably more where you got into a de-aging sort of sense, where obviously Carrie had unfortunately passed away at that point, and so you had to de-age Carrie Fisher to be in that very split-second type of role. This isn't quite that. It's like Mark Hamill's still around, and you need to have this character in for what they decided to be at least an extensive amount of time. I mean, not like the most extensive amount of time, but enough that you see his face talk multiple times, and you have to figure out how to do that. And so they kind of went with the Rogue One technology, which at the time I don't think really worked all that well. I mean, it was fine. It wasn't the worst I've ever seen, but it just wasn't quite right. there's an uncanny valley sense to all of it of just being like, not quite right. Not there yet. We're not there yet in terms of technology. And I think that was true here. It looked a bit fucked. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't quite right. You know, there's a reason they kept his hood up the entire time that he was in combat, not only for stunt purposes, but also because clearly they didn't want to touch the face at that point. And I respect the decision to make it, abundantly clear that it's Luke there. But it's not a totally great effect. But I will say, I am more forgiving of it in a television streaming property than I am of it in a big budget film. Like in Rogue One, like Tarkin and Leia have moments where they're just like, oof, sometimes they're fine, and sometimes they're just not good. And in here, it's like, I don't know if this is ever really good, except for maybe when he's not talking at all. Like once he starts talking, the animation
that's
all
bingo.
jacked to hell.
That's it. If you just had to look at him,
yeah. Like it still looks pretty good, I think. Like just looking at a still of his face
like
on the body.
The still is fine. It's just the
it's when he goes like this. It's like a bad dub.
Yeah,
I'm here to pick up Yoda. I'm here to pick up Yoda and make him a master. It's like, oh man, and his mouth's not moving. His mouth didn't move.
That's the hard. Yeah, I think that's the part we haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah. In some ways, like Luke is kind of like, badass Jedi. I don't need to emote too much or whatever. But like, it's beyond that of just being like, oh no, you just can't get this face to do the sort of emotions that a normal human would be able to do,
just
even if they were
There's so much
minimally emoting.
Like it.
I mean, the deep fake stuff is out there, and I've seen like deep fakes of this, which still look pretty rough. Whereas I've seen deep fakes of the Rogue One stuff that, in some senses looks better, in some senses doesn't. It's just not a perfect technology. I mean, I don't know how they did it. This to me felt more like Rogue One, and I think this is true of they filmed it with a different actor and then just mapped Mark Hamill's de-aged face on that, and it's like there's just too many layers of it just not working as well as it probably should or needs to. But again, television, smaller budget maybe or whatever, and it's fine. You roll with it. It's fine. It's worth it for the storytelling purpose of having Luke Skywalker appear in this episode. Like it's worth it. You get over it. It's a gripe, and it's a valid gripe, but you get over it. Whereas I think in the case of the Marvel stuff with de-aging Hank Pym, de-aging Tony Stark, that works better because you're still working from the same base. They didn't film Mark Hamill here and then just de-age him based on reference material. Like they transposed his young face onto another person's face, and like, I mean, maybe they would have been better off just getting Sebastian Stan to roll around and just say, hey, thanks for finishing Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Why don't you just pop over to the volume for a minute and film your cameo as Luke Skywalker, since it's been memed to death at this point. Like, they could have done that.
Does it pay me $35,000? I'll do it. 30 teasers.
30 cheesers. He probably commands a little bit more than that, for fucking Star Wars. But I would take 30 cheesers to play Luke Skywalker. Let me put it that way.
Let me put on a hood. I'll roll around. Give me your baby. 30 G's. I'll take it.
Yeah, little baby Yoda. Yeah, I'll take the little baby Yoda. I'm gonna take him home with me. Take him home from set. That's what I'm gonna do. Put him on my shelf.
He will not be safe until he's finished his training. Yeah, I feel like I made a great mistake because it was a Costco Baby Yoda for $20, but it was like life size. So I'm just like, he seems like, where are you gonna put a 2 foot tall Baby Yoda? And I was like, I don't know, but it's only $20. And now I kind of regret not buying it.
It's only $20,
right? And now there's no more Baby Yoda.
You didn't buy it? I thought you bought it.
I didn't buy it.
I'm so disappointed.
I didn't buy it. I need to go back. I made a huge mistake. I would
have bought that shit quick for $20.
I'll go to Costco.
So anyway, I don't even know what my rambling accomplished.
Yeah.
Let's round up the Mandalorian. Maybe. Is there any other lingering thoughts? There is a post-credit scene we should address momentarily, but before we get there, Chapter 16. Any other thoughts? Just fucking Luke Skywalker popping in and saving the day and all that good stuff. Anything there we want to talk about?
Favorite episode of television this year, probably.
Chapter 16.
Chapter 16.
You're saying
specifically, yeah. Just from all.
I don't know. Last episode of Raised by Wolves really had me going. Where
I don't know if I buy that.
Do you know about the snake?
I don't, but I don't care about being spoiled.
But if it's Ridley Scott, it's probably a penis.
So there was, I will tell you, there's a robot. She's a robot that's meant for birthing children. And she ends up getting impregnated by a computer program, and then she ends up birthing this giant snake thing. And this giant snake thing grows into the point where it can fly, and then it flies out of the ship. And that was the conclusion of the. They flew the ship into the planet core, and then but it didn't kill the ship, and it didn't kill the worm or the snake, and the snake ended up being able to fly away. And that was incredible television by Ridley Scott.
Well, it turns out that the snake was not a penis, but
that was
there was
shit.
a penis that pre-existed the snake, and the snake is the result of the penis, which to me feels still
the bar was the bar for my television. The point of that statement was the bar of my television was set quite low.
Okay.
So as a preview of coming attractions for our eventual review of 2020 episode, Raised by Wolves is not making your top few television shows. Is that what you're saying?
I can say that with confidence.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
All right.
Post credits. Should we talk about post credits?
Yeah. What the fuck's that about?
Boba coming into Jabba's palace, or should I say Bib Fortuna's palace, de Oravanca.
A big fat one.
The Jabba no bada. The Jabba I've been eating a lot over the past 5 years. Boba lays waste to none other than Bib Fortuna, who mysteriously survived Return of the Jedi. And he takes over the throne of Jabba's palace, aka Boba's palace at this point. And it's a little scene, and Fennec is there. Ming-Na Wen's character is there. Awesome, great. Glad they brought her back again. And it ends with this little title card called The Book of Boba Fett, coming December 2021. And lo and behold, they fucking withheld announcements from that Disney Investor Day. I mean, they had 1 million shows to announce, but they forewent one particular Star Wars show. They did not announce the Book of Boba Fett. And indeed, this is a separate show that is coming to Disney Plus next year.
Do you know
Sneaky bastards.
Do you know how big the cojones of Disney is, to where they have something like that they don't announce to investors because, fuck it, we don't need to.
We got enough. We're good.
It doesn't matter that we haven't opened up our fucking theme parks all year long. Fuck it. We'll surprise the investors with a show at the
Star Wars.
I'll say you should have invested it before that fucking $1,200 mark. Probably went up another fucking $500 after Boba Fett got announced. You should have invested before the finale dropped. Apparently,
it's true. It's crazy, fucking Disney. It looks cool. So, I don't know what it's about or what it's going to be doing, but I'm all about it.
We got a logo treatment,
and it looks incredible.
It's been filming for several weeks now. I mean, what the fuck, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there have been rumors out.
Boba Fett,
right?
There have been rumors. That's true. We never actually talked about it on the podcast. I think largely by virtue of the fact that our November schedule got severely disrupted by Andrew getting COVID or whatever that thing is.
I got the vid. It's true.
This was rumored. Hollywood Reporter was just basically saying, like, Mandalorian season 3 is going into production. Like, maybe there's a Boba Fett show happening or something too. We're not really totally sure, but like maybe it's happening. And then when it didn't come around on Disney Investor Day, it was like, oh, I guess it wasn't a thing.
Right.
And then it was a thing, as it turned out. So yeah, Tamara Morrison and Ming-Na Wen are both going to be back for it. It's going to be produced by Johnny V. It's going to be produced by Dave Filoni. And here's another interesting nugget. It's going to be produced by Robert Rodriguez, who obviously was very heavily involved in that first episode where Boba Fett himself was heavily involved. So, and also set within the timeline of The Mandalorian. So maybe it crosses over with all the other ones and stuff. And Boba Fett comes into play towards the end of whatever all those shows are setting up. I don't know. It's. I mean, that's 4 shows within the timeline of the Mandalorian, including the Mandalorian. So
something big's gonna happen.
Those people have their work cut out for them. And
it's probably the destruction of all the fucking core planets when that shit goes off.
Or Thrawn.
I mean, I was gonna say it's probably Grand Admiral Thrawn making his reappearance and deciding, I'm gonna take this Empire shit over. You know what I mean?
Fuck, that's true. Yeah, it could be that.
I don't know. So,
oh my goodness,
Book of Boba Fett, December 2021. Look forward to it. So, yep, that's it for our very long coverage of The Mandalorian Season 2. Moving on to what we've been up to and such. Henrique, we haven't heard more from you on the podcast in, I guess, several months. So why don't we start with you?
Sounds good. I had a pretty big day today. Started off with, after my clinic, getting my first dose of the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine. I did not turn into an alligator, despite what the Brazilian president said. Apparently that's a side effect. You turn to an alligator. Although I'm a gator for life.
Well, I'm already an alligator, so it'd be fine with me.
Go Gators. But no, it's fine. Like, Billy, they watched me for 15 minutes, and I was like, yep, fine.
You're like, this man is decidedly not an alligator. Yeah. He's fine. Let him out of the room.
He's good. Let him out. Yeah, so I'll be getting my second dose in January.
2 weeks. Yeah.
And not to plug vaccine stuff, but because I was thinking, like, does that make me invincible? Am I Superman now? Can I just go and, like, start licking lampposts? Maybe.
Christmas story style. Appropriate for Christmas
maybe,
story.
But the whole point, or at least from what we know, is it prevents you from at least like 95% from getting the symptoms. Doesn't necessarily mean you can't spread it to people, so it's still a little bit of a, we're going to get it, and it might take a little bit of time for everything to get back to normal. But I will say, like, I think the first step to getting back to normal, for sure.
No, I mean, it's huge.
Right.
I feel it feels like everyone has basically just been resting on their laurels. It's been like,
yeah,
the vaccine when it comes around, bro.
We got 2 now. We got 2. So
we got 2. That's true.
Yeah.
I guess. Well,
what about antibodies? Do they count for anything? I've got antibodies.
For at least from what we know, they definitely last a few months. But the question is afterwards. You know, I mean, same thing with the vaccine. We still don't know.
But surely the antibodies you gain from a vaccine are the same as the antibodies you gain from contracting the virus, right?
Well, it's a question about, like, how long do they last? Things that we still don't have full answers to. But it seems like the antibodies from the illness are good for at least 6 months, and the vaccine should be good for at least a year. But again,
your antibodies are better than my antibodies.
But it's still like we don't quite know, because we just, you know, they're getting this out so fast. So it's not like we don't know the side effects. We just don't know the long term, like, how well does this work.
I've worked my ass off for my antibodies. I sweat day and night for mine.
I just took a little shot, but yeah. So we'll see. At the very least, they last several months.
Okay, well,
so
I'll lick a lamppost then.
We'll see. You can lick some lampposts. There you go. I also got another. Just happened to coincide on this glorious day. I got my PS5.
Oh, the Holy Grail.
PS5
nice,
came
dude.
in. FedEx dropped it off. No signature, apparently because of COVID. And I was like, oh shit! Some little kid's gonna take my PS5, and I'm gonna see him playing with it. But no, I got it from the Sony Direct. I've been trying to get it for a while, so I think just got lucky, and they shipped it, thankfully, in a non-revealing box. So
what are you going to play first?
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah. So I got Miles Morales from Best Buy, but I think I'm going to just sell my PS4, and instead of, like, trying to actually sell it to somebody and put in the effort, I'm just going to give them to GameStop and get my $100 store credit, and then buy a Miles Morales there. Although, I do have a couple PS4 games that I want to play on it. So I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn. And I just got NBA 2K21, God of War, Star Wars Squadron. So I've been playing those PS4 games, and I'll just continue that. And my first exclusive, I guess it's still available PS4, but first PS5 game would be Miles Morales.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. Aside from that, I finished Watchmen. That was quite good. That was easily one of my top
Andrew, you gotta get on
TV
that.
shows. I was impressed. I was like, I read the graphic novel only this year, pretty late to the party, but then I watched the movie. And, I thought the movie was fine at best. I thought the show was fantastic. Really took me to places I did not expect me to take, and so I highly recommend it. Finished Lovecraft Country, and I would say I agree with the general thoughts that you covered. I liked a lot of it, but some of it was just kind of unorganized and not really sure where it was going. Left me a lot of questions, but enjoyed the show overall. And don't have too many movies. Just watching old movies because there's not too much new out. Even the new stuff that's come out, I just haven't gotten to. I haven't seen Trial of Chicago 7. I haven't seen Mank. I'm behind on that stuff, but I got a PS5 to keep me company for a while. So
yeah, it will definitely keep you company. I was thinking that you had the PS4 Pro and you said $100, and I'm like, that's not right. Yeah. But I guess you probably had the base original, PS4, right? The launch model one. Yeah, it'll be a huge upgrade.
Right, yeah.
Sure.
I can't
even, I think you'll appreciate it.
I haven't even played games in 4K, so it's gonna be
that alone will do it, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, I hope you enjoy your PS5 much I enjoy mine and intend to enjoy mine. I'll expound in a couple minutes. Let me toss it over to Andrew. What you been up to since we last recorded on the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special? You've been 100%, I think, hopefully since then. So you've been up to any good stuff?
Just house projects. Put some wood on the wall.
Some wood on the wall. Okay.
I'm making these Instagram box things on the wall. I don't know how to describe it other than.
Where are they going?
Fuck is an Instagram
what
box?
Part of the house are we talking about?
Master bedroom.
Master bedroom. Okay.
And there's a grid of boxes outlined in wood on the wall, and then you paint the wall one color, and it looks like it's raised grid on the wall. I don't know how to describe it. It's just boxes on a wall.
This is for decor, though, right? Right, not. This is.
It's not structural or anything. It's strictly decor. I cut a bunch of MDF boxes and put them on the wall. Sarah said she wanted.
Are they in any particular shape? What's kind of the aesthetic that you're shooting for?
It's strictly boxes on a wall.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe it. I think I've been sending you pictures of it on the thing. How would you describe that? Open up your messages.
I do gotta say I gotta recruit you for some woodwork, Andrew.
Do you see?
I don't even know. Yeah,
I do see.
I don't know what to look up to see how it's gonna look when it's finished, but
here I can show you. I can show you what it's gonna look like real quick. I finished my booth. I think I talked about that before, though. Let's see here.
I think so, yeah.
But other than that, I haven't really been. Oh, we've been watching Harry Potter. I like Harry Potter. Been watching that.
Oh, yeah?
Harry Potter?
Yeah, I think we're in the third or fourth episode. They're on Apple, the Apple and Amazon, I think, and Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, upscaled 4K.
Well,
so I've been actually legit paying $3.99 a movie just to rent them to watch it in a higher quality.
Yeah, they put out a 4K set, a 4K Blu-ray set. So I assume it's probably the same source and
I think so.
All that for that. So nice
Messenger, but that's pretty much been about it. Let me get you this. Little black box. Oh, here we go. This is perfect. Let me just show you this, and then you can kind of share to the listeners how you would describe what this looks like.
Okay.
Other than boxes on a wall. I'm getting a little fatigued. So.
Well, I guess I'll just say, for the sake of brevity, I mean, I might be able to see what Andrew's cooking on his wall in just a few days' time, because Florida Man is back in Florida.
Nice.
And Florida Man is desperately trying to avoid COVID and all that good stuff, but he feels a little bit better about dealing with someone that has the antibodies in his system for a few months.
Although mine are only good for 6 months. A little bit of
confidence.
I got baby antibodies.
Well, I think I'll make it within your 6-month window, so that'll help. Yeah, I drove 14 hours down to Florida, avoided the dreaded airports and the dreaded airplanes, and it was a long drive, but I made it just a couple of days ago. I'm not quite in Andrew's neck of the woods these days, but hanging out with my parents and having a little Christmas time with my parents. It's I've never spent a Christmas away from home, so I kind of even under the bad circumstances, I still wanted to try to make the best of bad circumstances. Kind of self-isolated. Well, I guess collectively isolated with Anna. I should probably clarify for a couple of weeks, but we basically spent company with no one except for each other for basically that entire time, and so now I'm down here, and I know hopefully about to enjoy Christmas. Other than that, I mean, that's really it. I have been swamped in school stuff. I had a couple exams I had to take since we last recorded. One was fine. One kicked my ass big time. I will say. I think I passed, but it kicked my ass. I won't deny it. Other than that, I've been working on projects for school. I still have a paper I have to finish writing for school, so it's all kind of, I don't know. I'm not quite out of the weeds yet, but it's all right. The only thing I've really done in terms of the fun things that I should talk about, I watched Love Actually.
That's a good movie.
It's my first Christmas movie that I've had to enjoy for this Christmas season. I hope to enjoy a few more and maybe talk about them on the following episode. But yeah, it was the first time I'd actually seen Love Actually. It's the first time I'd actually seen Love Actually. I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it without loving it. Enrique, have you seen it? Obviously, Andrew has seen it based on the response.
I think it's been a little while, but I've seen it, yeah.
I mean, it's an old movie. It's 2003.
Right.
Old. Oh, my God, it's so old. Oh, yucky. Or whatever. But, great cast. It's one of those things, those movies have kind of taken a life of their own these days where, you have Valentine's Day and all that shit of just being like, let's take fucking 19 stories and put them into one movie. And it's like, I think probably the original was probably the best version of that, and they've gotten progressively worse since then. And Love Actually, I think for the most part works overall. Like most of those stories hold up pretty well. It's just that you don't get enough of a lot of those to really, for me, have a lot of impact. But it was fun. It was enjoyable to watch. An excellent cast, and a lot of cast members that have since gone on to do much more bigger things, I guess, overall. It's got Andrew Lincoln, who obviously is the fucking main man in a Walking Dead show. Well, maybe not anymore, but he's going to have movies or some shit like that. So he's fine. He's doing fine for himself. But Chiwetel Ejiofor was in that. Keira Knightley was in that.
The rock star? Who's the rock star? What's his name?
It's Bill Nighy is the rock star in that. Just Davy Jones after that. So, he's always been a successful career, but Liam Neeson, Thomas Brody Sangster, who, he was a little kid in that, and then he was Jojen Reed in Game of Thrones. Colin Firth was in that. I mean, just a stacked cast, top to bottom. Emma Thompson, Alan Rickman, rest in peace, was in that. So it was good. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it, I would say. So not going to crack my top Christmas movies ever. Muppets Christmas Carol will always be at the top. I find it hard pressed that anything will bump it from the top of the list. But yeah, it's Christmas time, so I'm enjoying some Christmassy things while I can. Apparently in Florida on Christmas, it will drop to a low of the 20 to 27 degrees overnight, which, isn't quite the same as it snowing or whatever, like it would, in the northern states. But hey, it's a little bit closer to Christmas in Florida as you can get. So I'll enjoy it while I can. But other than that, I really don't have a whole lot to offer.
I gotta go to fucking bed.
A little bit more of the Wing of Kings and stuff. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. Andrew's got to go to bed. I mean, Henrique's probably got to go to bed too. I think he has work in the morning. I myself will probably just keep drinking and just have a merry old time.
Good time.
I got to go to bed eventually too. So, thank you all for listening to what is now technically our 4th hour of Mandalorian coverage. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. We usually don't record these lengthy episodes, but on occasion, the alcohol just finds the right perfect mixture with the content, and lo and behold, we just can't help ourselves but just keep talking. And so, if you enjoyed what you heard, please say a thing or two to your friends. Patreon, if you want to support us, patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat. $2 a month gets you access. And I say access to our early access to all of our regular episodes because that's kind of the biggest benefit that's going for our Patreon supporters right now. I'm so sorry for the people that were fucking out of a few bucks for Patreon, Henrique included. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Studio Ghibli episode.
We just haven't had an opportunity to do a bonus episode. Things have been topsy-turvy in terms of just personal lives and stuff like that. But one thinks that 2021 can be hopefully in many ways, and particularly in the way of Patreon, a return to normalcy. And so maybe we'll get that godforsaken Studio Ghibli episode out for you guys at one point in our future. Other than that, if you want to just check out anything we've been up to in terms of previous episodes, finding links to our social media accounts, just head to our website, watchreviewrepeat.com. Otherwise, you can follow us directly on Twitter at WRRPod, like us on Facebook just by searching for Watch Review Repeat. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, if you too have many thoughts on The Mandalorian Season 2 and you just want to get them off your chest, send us our way, watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Intro and outro track, Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Our next episode, I think there's a good chance that Andrew and I will be in the same room to record it, which is very exciting. Haven't done that in maybe a year or something like that. Wonder Woman 1984, Soul, both come out on Christmas Day. Tenet is out on home video. I mean, gods, we have so many opportunities. We have so many things we can catch up on. So really just stay tuned in terms of what we cover. But we will plan to be doing something special for
all three 15-hour episode.
I was just going to say it probably won't be a 4-hour episode, but with that said, thank you so much to our Jedi Master Henrique Jaime for joining us on this episode. It has been too long since we've had a proper chance to have you on the record. We've obviously talked to you off air, but you've obviously been busy doing a little thing like being a doctor in the fucking time of the coronavirus, and that's awesome. And it's the people like you that give the rest of us dumbasses a fighting chance in this world that we probably don't really deserve, but thank you nonetheless. And so thank you for everything that you've done to save fucking people and put yourself on the line for others. I mean, it's a selfless thing to do. And obviously doctors are kind of expected to do that, but I think that you can still appreciate them for taking that extra step that other people aren't willing to make. So thank you for that. Thank you for obviously what you do on a daily basis. And then also at the same time, thank you for being a Star Wars fan and hanging out with us for a few hours and sharing your knowledge and sharing your passion with us. It's really awesome to have you on. So thank you.
No, thanks for having me. I love coming on, and especially to talk about something that clearly brought us so much joy in these dark times is always a treat.
Totally.
Well, with that said, I guess there's nothing left to say, but be excellent to each other.
And party on, dudes.
In a self-isolated fashion.
Fashion.
Where you're not congregating with other people.
6 feet apart.
Otherwise you might spread the coronavirus. Yeah, 6 feet apart.
After vaccination.
After vaccination, you can definitely party on dudes. Probably. I'm not an expert, but you can probably party on dudes after that. It's probably okay.
But not longer than 6 months, and then you need to self-isolate again.